Hello everyone, it's Shel C from PaperOcotilloStudio, and today I'm sharing with you another video that I did with the Arteza brand self-adhesive vinyl, as well as the 4-piece quilting set, which has the self-healing mat and rotary cutter and extra blades and quilting ruler in it. So as I was doing the other video that was a couple days ago, which I will link it in the iCard above and in the end screen at the end, I was thinking as I was doing that video that I wanted to do this, which was to use vinyl with the gel plate, because I really think that this self-adhesive and also water resistant or waterproof, stuff, vinyl stuff would be really great for making all kinds of designs on the gel plate. So that's what I'm doing today. I'm also using the Arteza acrylics, which you've seen me use before several times. They sent me these a while ago for a different video series that I did with the Arteza products, and so I still have them, and I figured since I was going to use the other stuff, I might as well use those two on my gel plate today. So the first thing I'm doing is just using these strips that I cut with the quilting ruler and the rotary blade. I can cut really skinny ones like, a 1/16 or an 1/8 of an inch, all the way up to whatever size, and also squares and rectangles and triangles and all those type of things that you would do, very easily. The vinyl is very easy to cut. I don't have any problems with it not cutting all the way through or having to apply a lot of pressure. It's just a little bit of pressure, and I just made all these different widths of strips. And then I'm placing them all down, starting with the skinniest ones, moving to the next ones, moving to the next ones, which are a 1/2 inch. I think I went from an 1/8 an inch to a 1/4 of an inch to a 1/2 inch strips, and then just putting them on there in a random pattern all over my plate. And the nice thing is that they stick down. Someone will look at this and they will say, hey, I could do that with paper. Well, I have a problem with paper here at my house. I don't know if you guys do, but when I go to roll the brayer over it, it rolls up onto the brayer. And I've seen lots of people make paper masks before. I know people do it, but for some reason my plate isn't as sticky, or my environment with the dry, it's very dry here and stuff. They roll up onto the brayer, and then I have to sit there and unroll them on the brayer, which really annoys me. So having this sticky back vinyl, it's sticky enough that it stays on the plate until I peel it off. And that's the reason that I wanted to try this. So I start with a darker color over the whole thing, and then sometimes I'm putting a paper on, sometimes I'm making two different types of prints at the same time, and this first one, that's what I was doing. And trying to build up stuff, I like crusty bits, and I like to build up layers of color and paint on my plate and then pull it all off at once. But at first I was just kind of pulling some off and then going and putting more on. And first I took the fattest strips off, then I took the next fattest strips off and put a different color. And then now I'm just pulling up the entire thing using some white paint, which you've seen me do this lots and lots of times. I like to build up all the layers on the plate and then pull them all off at once. I like that. That's my preferred method of doing this multicolor gel printing. There's certainly other ways of doing it. It's just what I like. So this first one, I got like these interesting lines in two different ways. The darker one is where I was doing it color after color, printing another layer on top, printing another layer on top, and then the more orange colored one was the one where I was letting the layers and crusty bits build up on the plate. So I decided to try it again. These are the same strips. They're still sticky. I didn't cut new ones or anything. They're the same exact ones I just used. Decide to put them all kind of vertical and then do some more natural colors. So I started out with the green, and again, I'm kind of doing two prints at the same time. That green stripy one, and then I put some more of the same color on, pulled off some of the thicker strips, stuck them to the edge of my table so that I could use them again. Then I'm putting an ochre color on, and then pulling off some more strips and sticking those to the edge of my table, and then putting another green on, pulling off more, and then putting a brown. And this ends up looking like jungle grass. It's going to make a really fantastic back for an art journal page, to collage it onto an art journal page to start the page out. I think it's going to be really fun. It's, I don't know, it feels like there should be a tiger or monkey peeking through it. It's really kind of fun. So the colors are very monochromatic on that one. So you can see the difference between using a dark and bright versus these monochromatic layered tones. So that the other one, the one with the green and white, I'm using on this one again, and that's how it got the brown stripes. But I thought they were going together, and that's the reason I took the picture. So this time I'm using the same strips again, same process, only I put them all horizontal. And I put some brown paint on, and then I pulled off that print that you saw in the previous screen, which has green going one way and brown going the other. Then this is all like fall colors, like browns and reds and golds that I'm using on this one. Again, kind of monochromatic, not big color contrast. And then to pick up the whole print, I used some Pebeo Dyna iridescent copper. You know, I'm a copper fiend, so I used that to pick up the print, which made a really nice fall colored piece. Again, I can see this as a background on an art journal page or something. It's pretty. It's very pretty and very fall color like. So then I decided to move on to the little squares I cut. They were just scraps from my other time that I was cutting up stuff for the cards that I made, and just sticking them all over the plate, just putting them on there. There's some squares or some rectangles, but they're all square-ish, if you know what I mean. They're square-ish. And the easiest way to peel the backing off is to just use your X-Acto blade and just kind of put the blade in between the white and black, and it peels right off. It's quick and easy to peel. Unlike some things I've had, like tape. Sometimes I will struggle so hard with sticky back tape, just trying to get it apart. This comes apart really nicely. So then, in order to not stab my gel plate with something sharp, I'm using a plastic palette knife to help me lift a few of the squares. And then I add some red, then I lift a few more of the squares. And the first color was black. I started out with a very dark black. It's Mars Black from the Arteza set. Then I pull off a few more, add some green, and pull off a few more, add some, I can't remember, blue, I think, maybe. I don't know. I'm just grabbing from the little tubes in the trays from the set. So I'm not sure the specific colors, but they're all there in that 24 set. Yeah, blue. I think that's probably cobalt blue. And then I pull off the last ones. And at this point, you could use the color you're planning on picking up with, but I wanted one more color on there, so I believe I did some yellow squares. Yellow is always a tricky one because it's always translucent, so I know I'm going to be picking this up with a dark color in the background, which is of course going to be black for picking up the whole print, so I know that yellow is not going to come out as bright because the black is going to show through, but I waited a little bit too long to pick it up at the top, and I didn't get everything peeled up. But really fun, you know, little colorful squares on a background. It's fun. A lot of fun. I enjoyed doing this. This is the weird stuff I do. So then I said to myself, what if I use the vinyl to cut something out, like kind of like cutting your own stencil? But instead it's more of a mask instead of a stencil, but it's the same type of an idea. So I decided to draw some illustrations of a little haunted house, kind of a wonky little house. I've been into those wonky, funny houses lately, in villages and things. I don't know why, I think that the fall makes me feel like I want to stay home. I want to have some tea in my you know, in my chair with my little blankie, even though it's not cold. It's not cold here. I live in Arizona. It's not cold at all. In fact, it's hot. But I still have that nostalgic, cozy, cuddle up feeling that I know that the season has changed. So then I'm using that self-healing board again from Arteza, and I'm using an X-Acto knife to cut out my little haunted house. And it cuts really easily. I did change my blade and it's nice and sharp, but I'm having no trouble cutting through. You know, sometimes when you're cutting something like this or something that has layers, you might just cut through the white backing and then you don't get the vinyl, but this is easy to cut through. So had no problems with that. Cutting out, and of course I'm not going to make you watch this whole thing, but I ended up cutting out a house, a tree, a cat, and some pumpkins, and then I drew a little ghost with the extra scrap. So then I'm peeling off the backing, and for my first try, I'm sticking these down right to the plate. The whole set of them. I start with the house and trying to make it cooperate here because I've cut so many holes out of it that it doesn't want to cooperate. It's a little bit tricky to get it to lay down, but I finally got it all smoothed out. Then I added the spooky tree to the side. It's the little doors I'm having trouble with. They don't want to stick. They want to stick to themselves instead of sticking to the plate. But I also put the little tree on there and the pumpkins, and had a little bit too much at the top, so I trimmed it. Pumpkins on the other side, and my little cat and my little ghost, all the little spooky haunted house things that I drew and trimmed out with an X-Acto knife. My cat, there we go. And then the little ghosty is just going to float up kind of in the sky. One thing I did not remember to cut was a moon, and I thought I needed a spooky moon at the top. There we go. I'm almost done. So then I went for some blue color for the sky, and I brayered that on the plate. Now, one thing about using your gel plate, it's making monoprints. And so monoprint means you're never going to get the same thing twice. So I'm going to reuse these, but I'm going to do it kind of in a different order. And I save these because I can use them on something else later. They're just basically little mask stencils. So I used my finger and I just cleared out a little bit of that blue at the top where I thought there should be a moon. And then I took off the ghost and I took off the pumpkins. I'm putting some yellow up at the top where the moon is, putting some white on the ghosty area and some orange on the pumpkin area using my smaller brayer. And just letting the excess kind of just be brayered around. It's no big deal. So the thing that you want to think about when you're doing this is that bottom layer, which was the blue, needs to be opaque, because if you're putting other colors over the top like this, you're going to have an issue with it showing the other colors through. So then I pulled off the house and the spooky tree and the cat, which should all be black, and I put the black pickup layer on. So this is where I'm saying, you know, that under layer, that first layer should be opaque paint, not translucent, because that black is going to show through. So then here goes my monoprint. Pretty fun, pretty spooky. And of course I can go in and add some pen detailing to that and it'll be really cute. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it. I don't know if I'm going to make a Halloween decoration or make an art journal page or put it on a bag to decorate, like, you know, a fun treat bag or something. I don't know. So then I decided to make another one using a little bit different steps. So I started with the black paint and I put the black paint on and then put the things that I wanted to be black on onto the plate over the black paint. Then I pulled away the excess using scrap paper. Then I put a little bit of orange where I wanted the pumpkins, a little bit of white where I wanted the ghost. You see the process here. I'm masking the color, putting the color on first, and then masking it with the little things that I've cut out of the vinyl. One thing I did not do a good job of, however, is to get that orange all the way off from around the pumpkins, so they didn't turn out as well as they should have. But then I just peel all the masks off and use my finger to add a little bit of a moon at the top with some ochre color. And then to lift this, instead of using like white paint or something, I used matte medium, fluid matte medium, and brayered that on, which is basically just acrylic paint without any pigment in it. That's all matte medium or gloss medium is. Just what they would make paint out of, only without the pigment. So then when I picked that one off, it has a different look, similar but not the same, because I get a lot more like little scratchy lines, kind of almost looks like a lino cut or a woodblock print. Fun, really fun. And I again can add some watercolor over that, or do some other stuff, pen work or whatever, to make the details come out a little bit more, and it'll be really cute. The more I think about it, the more fun I think it would be to make treat bags out of it. You know, collage it onto some handled paper sacks and make some trick-or-treat bags. That would be fun. So then my next thing was, what if you have a stencil and you want the opposite of the stencil? What if you have a stencil of leaves, still going with the fall theme here, but you want the leaves to be masks? You can just, of course, take this vinyl, draw around the stencil, and then cut it out. And I did end up cutting them out, most of them out, with scissors instead of the X-Acto knife. So then here I'm showing you what happens when I try to use paper masks, because I didn't want to sit there and cut a bunch of leaves out, because I was trying to get the video done. I was trying to get everything done. And so I decided I would use the paper pull away part as part of the masking process. But as you can see, when I roll the paint on there, what happens? The darn paper things come onto my brayer. So that makes me mad, and it happens to me all the time. So there's proof right there. I've got the 4 that I cut out. They're perfectly still masking the plate, but the ones that I made out of paper came off. So then I put some copper paint on. And these are all the Pebeo Dyna paints. I wanted to make something really shimmery. This was my final one, and I wanted to make a shimmery one on black paper. So then I used some of the, what is it, red orange maybe, or something, I don't know. Anyway, I used some different colors of that Pebeo Dyna iridescent paint. There's some gold. Peeling off each little mask as I go. And actually the mask turned out really shimmery, pretty fall colors, so I can stick those on something else and make a card or something, or use them again, doesn't matter. So then this time I'm using the black text weight paper to pick up this print after putting the black paint on. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please remember to give it a thumbs up, leave me a comment or question below. Subscribe if you haven't already, and of course share this if you think this is a fun technique using the Arteza self-adhesive vinyl. And of course, if you look below the video, there might even be links to the products I used, and maybe even a 10% off coupon from Arteza. That's it for me. Thanks. Bye-bye.